A very good afternoon and warm welcome to all present for today's session. Myself, Dr. Aruna Dogra, on behalf of Physical Education Foundation of India, welcome all of you to PEFI Live Session 2.0. PEFI, as all of us know, is committed for the promotion of physical education and sports globally, and PEFI's live sessions are a milestone in fulfilling this commitment. It is said by Lao Tzu, and I quote, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." I unquote. Especially when we talk about the pandemic situation we are facing right now, when the whole world was busy cursing pandemic, the visionary leader Dr. Piyush Jain and his team has not let any stone unturned to make this pandemic an opportunity for all of us. PEFI, through its continuous efforts, has indeed provided a platform for experts, professionals, teachers, students to express and share their expertise and ideas. Before starting today's session, it is to bring into your kind consideration that if you have any queries or suggestions, please share it in comment section. Our experts will surely try to help you out. Friends, today we have with us Dr. Ashish Phulkar as expert, another panelist, Dr. Amit Banerjee, Assistant Professor, Postgraduate, Common Institute for Physical Education, West Bengal. He will be presenting concluding remark. And we also have Shri Bhupendra Singh Ji, member of PEFI, National Executive Committee, and General Secretary PEFI for Amateur Rope Skipping Federation, Uttar Pradesh. I welcome all of them to today's session. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and honor to introduce the eminent expert today, Dr. Ashish Phulkar sir. He is Associate Professor, Department of Sports Management and Coaching, Lakshmibai National Institute of Physical Education, Gwalior. He is also Deputy Director, Physical Education, University Sports Board, Symbiosis International University, Lavale, Pune. He heads 12 recreation and wellness centers and is managing fitness center for Symbiosis International University. Dr. Phulkar has done his bachelor and postgraduate degree in physical education and sports sciences from Devi Ahilya University, Indore. He has also qualified NET in June 1999 and was awarded PhD in physical education and sports sciences in the year June 2006. He's having 19 years of experience in teaching and coaching physical education, fitness management, and sports management at postgraduate and undergraduate level. He was also recommended and accredited by IGCSE Cambridge International Examination for teaching and evaluating physical education and sports in June 2008. He specialized in movement education and was the first person to introduce and teach movement education as subject at LNIT Gwalior. He has attended various international workshops abroad too. He also worked as Director, Community Coaching Development Scheme of Khelo India in the year 2019-20, member of National Sports Education Board made by Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, and also member of Committee for Developing National Curriculum Framework for Sports Sciences framed by Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. He has represented many sports at university and nationals, such as athletics, handball, softball, badminton, and is still an active sportsman till date. He has published around 44 national and international research papers and presented 22 research papers in national and international conferences, and also published 6 books. His teaching passion and fitness enthusiasm has inspired him to always strive to learn and adapt to new challenging situations. I welcome him for today's session. Welcome, sir. In today's session, our expert, Dr. Ashish Phulkar sir, will be talking on very important topic, that is genetics
Thank
of
you, Dr.
sports.
Aruna.
Welcome, sir. He will be talking on genetics of sports and fitness. I now request Dr. Phulkar sir to start with his deliberation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Aruna, for very apt remarks. First, let me wish all the PEFI family and all the participants and listeners a very happy Ganesh Chaturthi. मैं सभी के लिए गणेश जी से प्रार्थना करता हूं कि इस कोरोना काल में सभी को रिद्धि सिद्धि दे, अष्टनव निधि दे, वंश की वृद्धि दे, हृदय में ज्ञान दे, दुख को दूर कर, सुख भरपूर कर, आश संपूर्ण कर, पेफी को मान सम्मान दे, सुख समृद्धि और ज्ञान दे। आप सभी को गणेश चतुर्थी की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। First of all, I am delighted today and proud to be associated with PEFI and its initiatives. I am also thankful to all the members who were present today on PEFI Live, especially Dr. Piyush Jain, who is National Secretary, Dr. Aruna Dogra, who is moderating, Dr. Bhupinder, Dr. Amit Banerjee, Tarun Sharma ji, Joint Secretary, and Dr. Kumar Sharma ji, who were present for this live session. Today, I am going to talk to you about a very important topic of discussion, that is genetics of sports. And before I discuss this further, I would like to share a presentation with you. So dear friends, as I said, genetics of sports is a very important topic which needs to be discussed with the students, the future generation, especially the researchers in the field of physical education and sports. No sports can develop in the country unless we find the right genes and train them for the to make them champions in our country. Request those students who are listening, this is one of the burning topics which they can take up. We already have certain students who are exploring certain genes for swimmers and one of the genes for the power lifters and weightlifters. So we can take one of the genes from India and we can explore what is the genotype which can lead to making a champion for our nation. Now, this will be the flow of presentation. I will discuss you or introduce rather what is genes and what are the sports genes which are important in today's scenario. What are the genes or what are the conditions which make a person a champion. I will be talking about a gene therapy and how we can mutate a gene or we can inject a gene from one body to another body. How is the artificial gene introduced in a person? Then we will discuss about possibility of gene doping. Is it a reality or it's just a talk? Then what are the risks of gene doping? If somebody is engaged in gene doping, what are the risks? And what does World Anti-Doping Agencies says about gene doping? And then we'll conclude with discussion and question answer sessions as permitted by the moderator. So here we are starting with our presentation today. As all of us know that we all are unique. If you will see all these faces on the screen, they're all unique. Every face is different from each other. But yes, our faces can be detected by the genes transferred from our parents. We look alike to our parents and the genes which has been passed on from one generation to another generation. Now let's ask some questions. I would like to put up some questions to the participants. You might have asked to yourself, there are two women, especially those who are working in the fitness industry. There are two women tried to lose weight. They took the same low carbohydrate diet and exercise, and after 2 years, one of them gets succeed, and the other one is still trying to gain or lose the weight. And this is because there is a genetic makeup which is allowing that lady to lose the weight. Similarly, two boys tried bodybuilding and they do weights and are on the same high protein diet, but one of them succeed in the bodybuilding, others don't. So these are certain questions which comes in the mind, why these things happen. There are two girls trained in athletics. We train similar way. We put the same weight training program for both. They both worked hard. Similar training program was induced, but one of them reached to the podium. So today, let's find out what is hidden in our genes. That's very important, that to make a champion, we need to explore the genes and hidden secrets of the genes. So if you'll see the sports scenario, it has been said by Jay Hadrick, a famous genetic engineer, do not blame your parents for who you are. They gave you the genes, but you choose how to wear them. So if you'll see, we used to think that our fate or our sports performance, when we used to lose, say, today it was my bad luck or something happened and I didn't win. But now we know that our fate is in our genes. Our genes control our biological system, such as your muscles, cartilage, the making of our cartilage, our bone formation, the energy which is produced by the muscles or the contraction of the muscles which takes place, the lactic acid removal or delaying of the fatigue, blood and tissue oxygenation. This is all depends on the genes we have. These genes which we have has a long lasting effect on all these biological systems in our body. So we need to see that what we have to identify is the DNA sequence of the genes which is present in our body. So if we have a proper appropriate knowledge of a gene or a DNA structure which is suitable for an athletic event, it will be very helpful for us to know the type of sports we can engage in, or which type of sports an athlete can do better. So this DNA sequencing will help us also know what are the types of training plans which we can develop for that particular genotype or that particular sportsman who possesses that gene. And I had given one research or review wherein Moffley and Mershek in 2007 found that mutations in collagen called COL5A1 gene led to the structure that supports the tendon being more loosely connected. So there is a gene connection of tendon which are not connected properly, and we had seen some of the athletes again and again gets injured. And this reminds me of a famous cricketer, Ajit Agarkar, who used to be out of the national team for more than a year or so because of ankle injuries which he has to face again and again. And that may be the answer, maybe in his genes, who is suitable to the injuries more. So let's find out or explore the condition of making of a champion. Why we want to explore the genes is most of the country has done gene doping or had explored the genotypes of their athletes because they want to win the medal. Now, if you want to prepare a champion out of our players, we need to do a performance profiling. Nowadays, some of the private entrepreneurs or companies, like which has been shown on the screen, DNFit is one of the companies which is responsible for taking up the performance profiling of athletes. This is a tool where we can, the athletes and coaches, it is the very good armory in the coaches list, and they can do a performance profiling of 3 major purposes. Now, what we do in performance profiling? We do 3 functions in performance profiling. The first is to identify an appropriate intervention. That is, what type of intervention is required to train an athlete. Then, to find out the way to maximize athletes' motivation and adherence to the program. And the third is to monitor if any changes is required in the training program over the time. Sorry. So, in sequence to making of champion, there are 3 important things which are listed. First is we need to understand the genetic engineering of a person. Then we need to see that if gene therapy is possible. And the last, which should be avoided, is the gene doping. And why I had placed this particular photograph alongside this slide is you might know this particular sportsman who was the tallest in the world. And if you remember, in our childhood days, as I know, the Chinese were not known for their height. Chinese people were known for their, they were known for their small height and structure, stout structure they had. But suddenly we started getting few of the Chinese players who started dominating the volleyball and basketball game. And there's no doubt there is gene mutation which has been taken place or been altered in the Chinese population, which has resulted in such players. Now, coming up to the champion athlete, making of a champion athlete, these are the factors which decide or which are important when we are preparing an athlete for Olympics or for the international level. So it is the combination of all these things. Maybe it's nutrition, right nutrition for right sports, the physiological condition of the player, the physical preparation of the player, the psychological and mental making of a player, the cognition, that is how intelligent a player is, how he understands the skill, his socio-economic status, because though we have all of these, but if his socio-economic status or support system is not there, he will quit the game. And that's why our Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports has come up with athlete development program, and they are providing scholarships in this particular area. Then a right training by a right level of coaches, which is very important and crucial role the coaches play in training these athletes. Nurture, but one thing which was missing in Indian talent identification of training program was genetic endowment, and that's why I placed it in a different box. So genetic endowment or gene making of an athlete, because you have everything, you have all these factors, but you don't have the right gene, then I think you are not going to get to the podium, because the person like Usain Bolt has that gene which helps him run better than all other athletes. So we are already off the block. So what is required when we talk about developing an elite athlete is all this pyramid in one after another. That was the base of the pyramid should be talent identification through genetics. And that's where we are missing most of the SAI coaches or SAI training programs right now running are on the basis of physical fitness or the physical conditioning tests which they conduct, and on the basis of those tests the students are selected in the SAI hostels. This is the scenario, but we don't select the students on the basis of genetics. Now what happens when we do so? So training can be defined as the process by which your genetic potential is realized. So when your right genetics with right training meets, then a marvel happens. A good level of sportsman is evolved through this type of training. So there is a need for right training with right gene. So if it has been detected early, we can be sure that this particular athlete is going to give medals for our country. But the things are vice versa. We first select the students on the basis of their physical abilities and then try to train them. And at the after the 8 to 10 years, we realize that the training program which we were giving to these students is stagnant now in the process of his development as an athlete, because his genetic makeup was not for these sports, but he was for, maybe he has a slow twitch fibers and we are training him for sprints. So these are the processes which goes wrong in the talent identification. Now, if you talk about specific genes for physical performance in the world or globally, the scientist has found 214 genes which are dominant in the sports and fitness areas, which are responsible for improving your sports and fitness. I will be talking about these genes in the subsequent slides, which are the most important genes for our sports performance. Now, before I go ahead, I want to tell you a short story or a biopic of a young archer. I don't know how many of you knows this. Those who come from the South Indian background must recognize this small kid, Dolly Shivani. She was in the newspaper 2-3 years back, all over. Now, this is a story of a small kid from a small town, Vijayawada. And why I'm telling you that this interesting story has needs to be explored, and we should see that if we can use this natural talent identification process, will be a wonderful thing for an Indian sports. This particular child was 5 years old when she has made a new record of shooting 107 arrows in 1 minute on target from 10 meters. So this is a world record achieved by this girl. And now one of the US film agency is preparing a biopic on this particular girl. Now, this particular story is a true story of Shivani, and her father is none other than our own coach, an Indian archery coach who is well known in this area, Cherupuri Satyanarayana or Krishna Kumari, wanted the next year generation to take forward the legacy of Vijayawada. This particular coach knows that he has a gene of archery in his blood, and he is the one who is working with Volga Archery Academy, who take help advanced methods and medical methods to bring Shivani to this world. Now, what has happened with this coach was he has coached many Indian compound archers, maybe Vennam Jyoti Surekha, Asian Games gold medalist. His own son was Asian medalist, Commonwealth medalist. But at the end of the day, he was shattered with this dream of winning Olympics medals because his son died because of an untimely death by a snake bite. And then his entire dream was shattered and he was set idle and he thought, what should I do? But suddenly a thought come in his mind and he said, why should I not go for the artificial method of in vitro fertilization? And he got with an test tube baby, which he called as Shivani. And this Shivani was introduced to the archery from a very early age. जब बच्चे अपने टॉयज से खेलते हैं, this Shivani has started playing with archery, bow and arrows, and she uses light carbon arrows, which helps her train without difficulty. So this shows that yes, genes gets transferred, the positive genes get transferred from one generation to another generation. And for sports, these genes are very important. We have to recognize these genes. Once we recognize these genes, we can produce such elite athletes, which will help us win medal as a future prospects. And that's where we are putting our money and energy on such athletes. Now let's talk about one more legend, Usain Bolt. And when he's lined up against athletes who almost certainly all expresses one gene, which is known as actinin 3 gene. And we all have actinin 2 gene in us. Every athlete has got actinin 2 gene. But what makes it different from other athletes is this unique gene, which is actinin 3. This actinin 3 gene is one gene which makes bonds or strong muscle contractions, which is helpful in fast twitch fibers. And due to this strong contractions, he's able to finish faster and easier than all other athletes. And you know the results. So genetic testing is done to know what type of profile we have, whether our body or genes are suitable for endurance power profile, or we are good at for aerobic potential, for exploiting our tendency towards high volume or VO2 max by including both performance and power activities in our training, or we are better for cardio fitness, or our genes are good at recovering or post-exercise recovery. There are few people who has got very less resting heart rate and they can recover very fast in cardio activities, especially the cross-country runners. And this is in their genes because of the slow twitch fibers they have. So I was talking about this wonderful gene, which is important for sprinting world. If you want an athlete to perform at Olympics or want one medal at Olympics, we need to find out this particular gene in our Indian athletes. And actinin gene is a encode forming an actinin binding protein, which binds the myofibrils and sarcomere. And this binding, if you know the muscle filament theory, because of this binds, this forms fast binding with the muscle fibers, and because of this forceful contractions can happen. So because of actinins is a protein amino acid which is present inside it. So this is the muscle filament theory I was talking about, and every muscle fiber has this particular structure which has got sarcomere and a myofilament and with a protein called myosin. And this particular area or the projected sarcomeres make bonding with other filaments, and this helps you making fast contractions in the muscles, which is also a part of H zone and I zone of the muscle band. Now, let's explore. I had given you a cross section of the muscle fiber and a DNA sequence. This is a single genome, DNA sequence of actinin 3 gene. So if you'll see, the actinin 3 gene is been DNA sequence of this particular gene. ये एक कोड है उसका जिसको हम डिकोड कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. We are trying to decode one DNA sequence of actinin 3 gene. And this has got several strides, if you'll see on the screen. And you will see this has been demarcated by a glutamine or arginine, an amino acid, which is a non-coded region. And this coded region and non-coded region is very important because this line, straight line, is non-coding region, and this line is the coded region. Now, what is the difference between the coding and non-coded region? Is that the non-coded regions are the regions where we have this particular gene which enters into this non-coded coding regions, and because of this, for our performance has been injected in this area. Now, if you'll find there are scientists has gone ahead and find out that what type of role it plays, this particular gene actinin 3. So researchers suggest that elite athletes who rely on the power or fast twitch fibers in their muscles, like sprinters, they share a common genotype, and these fibers contain a protein produced by R allele or actinin 3 gene. So there are possibly 3 versions of actinin 3 genes which are found in athletes, and these all 3 versions plays a different role for different sports. So if you'll see, the first gene, actinin 3 gene coding, is RR gene, which are beneficial, or RX gene, which are beneficial for elite power and endurance athletes. So those who are engaged in weight training of snatching the weight, or power athletes who are doing jumping, long jump, triple jumps, they will be benefit if they have got RR or RX chromosomes in their genes. But XX is non-beneficial for elite power. If somebody has excess actinin 3 gene, this particular gene, though it is actinin 3, is non-beneficial for athletes. So if you'll find RR, RX and XS, the frequency of occurrence which takes place, the power Olympian has got more of RR, 50-50 percentage of RR and RX gene. Well, female power athletes has got 45 to 50% of RR and RX gene. The power athletes, again, 50% of both RR and RX genes are present. And the endurance athletes have got less of RR and RX genes, but more of XS gene of actinin 3. So this is how the genotype should be while we are finding out an athlete. And this is a hell lot of work which we need to do as a physical educationist and to help our sportsmen of the future. So, friends, we need to know that what are the human genes, or what is the mapping of the human genes for the performance or health related fitness. We need to know this. As I had already spoken, that there are 214 autosomal gene entries which are already been decoded by the scientists. I will be talking about the main genes which are which we should be able to find out for our sportsmen, because these are the main genes which had already been explored in other African countries and in USA and UK. The first gene in this list is ACE, which is first affects the system which is skeletal muscle system, and the physiological response of this gene is D, is involved in fast twitch muscle fibers and seems to correlate in endurance activities. So it is the fast activities, but in endurance, that means this particular gene is required for 800 to 1500 meter runners, or if you want to sustain your muscular contraction for a whiteout was actinin 3, which I had already explained, which is needed for sprinters. Endorphins. This is very important, that central and peripheral nervous system. And this endorphin gene is modulated by Lance Armstrong, who was the famous Tour de France winner. And this was responsible for central and peripheral nervous system, and which helps you modulate pain. So pain modulation के लिए जीन का एंडोफिन्स का यूज होता है. There is EPO, again it is a gene product and hematologic and immune system के लिए use होता है. It has been used in some of the cancer patient treatment and increases RBC mass and oxygen delivery. It helps in, oxygen delivery, and that's why very good hemoglobin content in their body. So EPO is helpful in endurance activities or activities where you need stamina, going for a cross country or long distance run. The next gene is high, that is endocrine or metabolic skeletal system पे affect करता है. It increases the muscle size. I will be talking about this particular gene. I'll show you certain experiments carried out in this particular aspect and which are used for power and recovery. And I will be talking about high in the form of IGF is part of this particular gene, IGF-1, wherein a Belgian bull experiment which was conducted for testing the IGF gene. Similarly, myostatin gene is one which has been used by to produce the people for WWF wrestling and huge robust physique which has been created by altering the gene known as myostatin. There is again one more PPR delta which is used to enhance our capacity in bodybuilding and increases number of slow twitch fiber, promotes fat metabolism. So those people who want to engage in fat metabolism or reduce their fat for bodybuilding, they use PPR delta to enhance this fat metabolism. And the last one is VEGF, and this helps you induce development of new blood vessels. So this is again a gene mutation which helps you to develop the new blood vessels by increasing your stamina for that matter. So what are the genes which are required? This is listed in the screen from smaller genetic contribution to larger genetic contribution. This particular slide shows how much dominance the gene play in the activities or sports. So if you start from the top, these are the activities which has very less effect of the genotype on the performance. So if you talk about the team sports, combat sports, nature's dependent sports, these are the sports which has non-quantitative final performance outcome through the gene. So genes play a very negligent role on this particular activities. The second is swimming events, running races, sprints, throws, jumps, athletic activities. These activities plays very important role, and the genes plays a dominant role on these activities. And starting with flexibility, aerobic power, aerobic capacity, anaerobic power. Again, in this particular aspect also, genotype plays very important role. Type of muscle fibers, distribution of muscle fibers, aerobic activities or anaerobic enzyme activities. This also plays a very important role, and genes are most dominant in these particular activities. So listing from the less dominant to the more dominant activities was shown in this particular slide. Now, coming to one of the very important gene, which is also known as insulin-like growth factor or IGF-1 or myostatin, which is found in the myostatin gene. A very famous Belgian bull experiment was carried out by Sweeney in 2004. As this particular country is known for the bullfighting, and he thought to create a bull which will never be succeeded by any other bull. So he had tried to inject this myostatin or IGF-1, altered the IGF-1 gene in this particular bull, particular gene in this particular bull, and the result is in front of you. So is it possible to prepare such huge muscular persons or the human genes which are been altered, and we can see these particular people in the WWF? Now, this particular gene is also helpful in recovery of your muscles, because this particular gene, if you'll see the cross section of the gene, the first photograph shows the nuclei and the muscle fibers, and the nucleus is far away from each other. The second is the satellite cells, which start developing after the injection of IGF-1 gene. And because of this, the muscle cross section looks like this. That means there are more number of muscle fibers which has got developed, and because of this, muscle hypertrophy has taken place. So what is the results of myostatin is this. If you'll see this leg muscle of a mice which was treated with IGF in the right side are bigger than the leg muscles of the untreated mice at the left side. So this was a mice which has been treated with IGF-1 who has an injury in his leg, and as a result at the right side, this was the result of the experiment. So IGF-1 will help you develop your muscular structure of the body. And certain experiments were also been taken over on the chicken and the poultry farms, which the chicken which you eat are been injected with the same gene, and which results in the chicken in the poultry, or which we found in the poultry farms are the results of the IGF genes which are altered in this chicken. Then to test this further, the scientists again taken up one more experiment which is known as marathon mice. And this was the famous experiment wherein there was a gene PPR delta. This was altered in a mice. After altering this particular gene in a mice, what they found that the altered mice run twice as far as normal mice. Normal mice जितना दौड़ता है उससे डबल दौड़ सकता था वो mice. He can run 1 hour longer than the average 90 minutes a normal mouse can run. Normal mouse, if he can run 90 minutes, this particular mice can run 1 hour more than 90 minutes. Then this particular mice whose gene was altered has increased slow twitch muscle fibers. His slow twitch muscle fiber were increased and his fast twitch muscle fibers were decreased. There were increase in fat burning in adipose tissues because of the aerobic activity which was increased in this mice. So gene PPR delta regulates the expression of several other genes and ultimately enhances slow twitch muscle fibers. And there is no doubt that there are certain athletes whose gene PPR delta must have been altered by certain countries through gene doping. So let's look at this video, which will give you an answer.
Increasing your strength, your speed,
if you can
or your mind.
Listen to this particular.
Can you genetically enhance yourself? First, we should start by treating or preventing whatever illness you might already have using gene therapy. Let's draw this one out with ASAP science.
Simply put, gene therapy sends extra DNA into your cells in an effort to replace or fix a mutated gene. This DNA is often inserted into a virus, which then acts as a vehicle to the cell. Once there, the virus binds to the cell and inserts the genetic material, which replaces the damaged gene.
Find immunodeficiency, leukemia, and Leber's congenital amaurosis, a disease that causes loss of vision. If we could replace certain genes, could we genetically enhance our own to increase something like strength? Well, we already have, in mice. Called Schwarzenegger mice, scientists injected a gene that created a specific protein, IGF-1, to increase their muscle mass by around 40%. As they aged, their strength stayed the same as when they were young. But what if we want speed? Well, there's mice for that too, creating marathon mice that could run faster and twice the distance of normal ones.
So I was talking about now how it can be found now sportsman. So we need to first isolate a gene of our interest. Suppose we want to find out IGF-1 gene in our people or population. So first we have to isolate this gene, and we have to find out the people who might have this gene. Or if we want to alter the genotype, we have to insert that particular gene into a transfer vector by using gene therapy. Now, how does it happen? How gene can be altered? So if you look at our genetics, we have both the muscle fibers, fast twitch or slow twitch. But there is an enzyme which is required to alter this gene. So angiotensin or converting enzyme there are two converting enzymes known as I version or D version. So I version enhances the uptake of nutrition and oxygen to the muscles, and that's why it is important for better performance. And there are muscle fibers. So if you insert any of these I version into any of this muscle fiber, then this particular muscle fibers will start changing. So there are evidences which had been we have to study about the world record times of women's marathon since 1960, and it is evident that the world record time has decreased more than 1 hour. So what has happened in this evolution of running in this last 10 years or 40 years? Elite athletes may be born with a favorable genetic, but to realize athletic potential, they requires years of focused training. Though they have a gene, but without training, their genes cannot give better results. So if I have a gene for a better performance, but I don't train, then my genes are of no use. So training is itself a kind of self-imposed environmental exposure. And when gifted athletes train, this could be considered as an example of gene-environment correlation. So the effect of training on performance variation can be dramatic. So this is the result. That's why nowadays the world record time of women marathon have improved by 1 hour. And similarly, the case of swimmers, elite athletes are those who respond in extraordinary ways to training in order to unlock already present potential. There is always an athlete who is superseding the athlete who has created the world record, where it was Ian Thorpe, it was Michael Phelps, and the new sensation from Thailand, who has beaten Michael Phelps in his own world record of butterfly. So this is certain things which is happening. So we have to again relook at making of champion. So we have to see that if we need to produce champions, we have to study better genes in our country. It is not the gene doping, but the better genes to be studied. And then such genotypes, after study, must be exposed to a better facility, training, and socioeconomic status so that they can evolve as an athletes. So let's talk about gene therapy now. Because if we have to alter a gene, we need to go through a genome in order to repair a mutation that causes a genetic imbalances. So there are two ways of gene therapy. The first way of gene therapy is in vivo gene therapy, and another way is ex vivo. Now, what do you mean by in vivo? In vivo gene therapy, we inject a mutated gene, which was shown in the video, directly into the injected virus or through the DNA sequence, and then this virus or DNA enters into nuclei of the muscle cell, and this particular viral directs muscle cell to produce protein IGF-1 or the gene which you want to produce. And that's how there will be change in the characteristics which will happen through this particular mutation of the gene. So this is one way in which a direct injection of the gene through an infected virus is done. And that's what is happening in the case of coronavirus. The vaccines are prepared in 2-3 different ways. There are certain vaccines which have been researched and been produced by using in vivo gene therapy, by altering injecting the virus into the body and then finding out the result. And another way of finding out the gene therapy is ex vivo gene therapy, wherein the cells have been collected outside the body and they have been get injected, and when they get mutated, these mutated genes are injected inside the body. So first, this particular gene has been developed out through a foreign, into the organ directly. But looking at this particular type of gene therapy, what does WADA says about this? So WADA has very well-defined criteria for gene doping. WADA says that whenever any gene or cell, non-therapeutic use of gene or genetic elements or cells that have capacity to enhance athletic performance is been injected into the body through in vivo or ex vivo method, will be or which will enhance the athletic performance, will come under the World Anti-Doping Agency. So what is exactly non-therapeutic methods? So in the future, it may be possible to treat patients with muscle disorder by genetic medicines that will improve your muscle strength, or there will be patients who will be allowed to perform. The same holds true for the patient who are treated for cancer or chemotherapy. We are using these therapies already in chemotherapy or for treating our cancer patients or altering our bone marrow for that matter. So this will be possible, and the future is that these particular athletes will be treated through gene therapy for their muscle injuries or better recovery in the future. So if you see the evolution of doping which has taken place from early history, there were warriors who used to in the around 8 hearts, brains or livers of the animals, and they used to say that and believe that they would become more intelligent, swifter and stronger by eating the organs of that particular animal. And then after that, prehistory in West Africa, the tribesmen used to consume cola nitidia to improve the performance, and China were the commanders ingesting Ma Huang drug for various stimulation purposes. Then comes 7th BC or 3rd BC. The Greek athletes has an evidence of taking drugs and special diets in which they used to compete in the Olympic Games. And then came the Roman era. So any era you are living in, doping was part and parcel of the sports. That's what I want to mention here. And today in 21st century, athletes use performance enhancing drugs, maybe steroids, different forms of doping such as blood doping, and now the latest is the gene doping. And above all, now we have also started mechanical and technology doping, as it is evident from this cyclist who has a nitrogen cylinder fixed under this one of the water bottles, and as he switch on with the brakes, and it gives him thrust and accelerates the bike on the elevated run track. This was the famous technological doping of 2008. If it reminds me of the swimsuit which was created by Australian team Speedo laser racer swimming suit, and 2009 World Swimming Championship. This was evident, which has helped the swimmers to give better timings when they swim, and it reduced the timing by around 1 second or 0.1 seconds, which made a difference in the athletes. These swimsuits were banned after that. And there was a very big doping menace which has happened of the century by Lance Armstrong, and who has used human growth hormone HGG, which I was topping high, and testosterone to boost his muscle growth and increases muscle reduce and fatigue while he was cycling for Tour de France. And he was the only athlete who won it for 7 times. And the reason was he was indulging in these practices, especially blood doping and HGH or human growth hormone, which was helpful. Thereafter, there are certain sex change or gender verification sports which was seen, and these are the results of the gene doping. And this is our own athlete, Prithvi Pramanik, who was caught in this particular scandal. So these are evident that this gene doping is happening for sex change or gender verification also. So World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, has very categorically mentioned the prohibited methods And in this, they had already listed gene doping, the transfer of cell or genetic element or use of cells or genetic elements for pharma or any pharmacological agent for that matter to modulate or expression of endogenous genes. List of WADA. Now, it's not that everything is good when you have a gene doping. There are certain cases or evidences in the past which has already hinted us, like this case of Jess Gelsinger of 18 years who died from immune response to the virus vector when he was linked to a gene doping. And gene EPO in monkey is found, and it makes blood thrombosis, blood clots, and anemia in some of the immune attacked EPO. So there were some endurance athletes who tried this particular gene EPO, and there were certain problems where the blood started clotting in certain parts of their body, and there were infections in other human viral sheddings. So this has resulted or side effects of the gene doping, which will be very harmful in the future. Now, what are the tests which are available in to detect the gene doping? So there are two different tests which are available. The first is the biopsy, or suspected muscle tissue has been plucked from your body, and then this muscle tissue is exposed and through a needle, and then it has been tested under the microscope for suspicious elevations of key biological substances that indicate gene doping by serial monitoring of the blood parameters, and especially the retinochorocytes, which is found increased in the blood cells. So this indicates that there is a gene doping chances. This is again detected. Abnormal gene activity is also seen using cutting edge microchip gene array technology or nanotechnology, which has been used to detect the gene doping. In this nanotechnology, you take a protein fingerprint of genetic map and of a biochemistry of an individual, and through this protein fingerprint, you can find out the gene DNA sequence of his parents and him, and if there is any alternation in the gene, then we can find out that there has certain gene activity which has taken place. So these are 2 or 3 methods which have been used recently to detect the gene doping. Now, if you talk about the preliminary findings today and talk about the dominant nations who are doing wonders in athletics are the African nations. So preliminary findings after the gene study of these athletes, 70% Jamaicans habitants have actinin-3 gene version that produce actinin-3 protein. So they are gifted athletes, my dear friends. We cannot dominate this particular event in athletics because either we have to have the genes which are dominant in Jamaican athletes, that is actinin-3 gene version, or similar genes need to be found out somewhere in India. And if we don't have those genes, we cannot compete at this particular level. Then it has also been found that 20% of Jamaicans are heterozygous or actinin-3 gene, which has the same effect but to a lesser degree. There are certain athletes who has actinin-3 gene, but there are certain 28% of Jamaican athletes who has actinin-3 gene but are less degree of efforts or less contractions which happens in their muscles. And the second very important research which has been found in Australians, that every 10th, it has been believed that every 10th Australian is an Olympian. And saying so, only 30% were found with a speed protein actinin-3. So there are very few athletes or Australians which are found doing better in the sprint activities. And because of the reason that they have very few, 30% of them has got actinin-3. So at least 1 billion people worldwide must be completely deficient in actinin-3. So worldwide, this particular gene is not found in most of us. So I would like to conclude my presentation by saying that the athletic world today will sooner or later be faced with the phenomenon called as gene doping. We cannot deny that gene doping is not happening. Gene doping will be happening in the near future for improving athletic performance. I don't know what will be the exact number of years that it will take for the method to enter the athletic arena. But the scientists around the world are searching for ways to use information gained from the human genome projects. And there are a lot of these which is have decreased genes of athletes. The damaged muscle fibers are now been repaired by these type of gene therapies. And there are use of non-therapeutic gene transfer technologies solely for enhancement of performance, which contains many risks regarding health of the athletes. So government and sports organizations should begin to work appropriately, and there is a need to develop policies regarding the use of gene therapies by some of these agencies which has evolved as the private entrepreneurships which has evolved in our countries nowadays, and by healthy athletes in order to increase their performance. So this was the formal discussion which I want to say. And I would like to end that this world of medicine can make or break any human being. And the world of genetics can mold any human beings into superhuman beings. In other words, into world champions. That's what I want to sum up here. With this, I end my presentation, and I would request the moderator, Dr. Aruna Dogra, to kindly take over the session from here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your detailed presentation on genetics of sports and fitness. You have very nicely elaborated importance of gene in sports for talent identification and performance enhancement, sir. You also very clearly stated about the genetic engineering, gene therapy, and gene doping. I hope viewers must have taken note of the important topic today. Moving forward, we have to take some questions, but I could not find any questions on the panel. So I hope the views are all clear to the viewers today, and you have very nicely elaborated. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. I hope there will be some questions in the Facebook Live's comment box. I will take it from there and I'll try and answer those. Because this is very important that our young researchers and physical educationists should start working on this.
Right, right. And for those who still have queries regarding to this topic, can leave their queries to the comment section or can mail us on email ID provided during the session. With this, moving forward, dear professionals, we also have with us today another personality on the panel, Dr. Amit Banerjee, sir. He is Assistant Professor, Postgraduate Government Institute of Physical Education, West Bengal. He graduated and postgraduated from LNIP Gwalior and is also MPhil PhD in Physical Education. He is having to his credit MA in Yoga, PGDSM, CCY. He's also done Kinanthropometry Level 1 course. He has cracked UGC NET and West Bengal State SET. His area of specialization in sports are football, track and field, and yoga. He is having 25 long years of teaching experience as physical educator. He has presented and published various research papers at national and international conferences and journals. And now I would like to invite Dr. Amit Banerjee, sir, for his concluding remarks. Over to Dr. Banerjee.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon to all. First of all, I give my sincere gratitude to my teacher, Dr. A.K. Uppal, who is the working president of Physical Education Foundation of India. Thanks to Dr. Piyush Jain, General Secretary of PEFI, to provide me such a lovely platform to perform my duty. My sincere thanks to Bhupinder Singh ji, Amrita Pandey ma'am, Dr. Aruna Dogra madam, who is the moderator of this webinar, Tarun ji, and Sharad ji. I take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. Ashish Fulkar, Associate Professor, Department of Sports Management and Coaching, LNIP Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh, to select an interesting topic. Sir, your presentation are really impressive. It is very much informative and useful for the physical education teachers, students, and for the sports persons. Really, it enhances my existing knowledge. The topic of today's webinar is genetics of sports and fitness. As Dr. Fulkar discussed, I am hereby summarized it and try to add few points. Sir, you discuss these points. A gene is the basic physical and functional unit of heredity. Genes are made up of DNA. Some genes act as instructions to make molecules called proteins. However, many genes do not code for proteins. In human, genes vary in size from a few hundred DNA bases to more than 2 million bases. Genes are found in the chromosomes, and chromosomes are found inside cells. Your body is made up of billions of cells. Cells are the very small unit that makes up all living things. A gene is a short section of DNA. DNA is made up of millions of small chemicals called bases. As Dr. Fulkar also discussed these things, these are the 4 types: A, C, T, and G: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Women have 46 chromosomes, 44 autosomes, plus 2 copies of X chromosome in their body cells. They have half of these, or 22 autosomes plus, and X chromosome in their egg cells. Men have 46 chromosomes. In that, 44 autosomes plus and X and Y chromosome in their body cells, and have half of these 22 autosomes plus an X chromosome or Y chromosome in their sperm cells. When the egg joins with the sperm, the resultant baby has 46 chromosomes with either an XX in a female baby or XY in a male baby. Genetics is the study of heredity. Heredity is a biological process whereby a parent passes certain genes onto their children or offspring. Now the question arises that which genes are stronger, mother or father? Parental genes have been found to be more dominant than the maternal ones. Genes from your father are more dominant than those inherent from your mother. New research has shown that. One research already studied in the University of North Carolina School of Medicine. Then making of the champions. Who is the champion? A champion is a winner or someone who is really good at something. There are so many qualities or traits which are required to be a champion. Some of them are the hardworking, mental tough, overcome adversity, discipline, motivated. You should have positive attitude, focused, value teamwork. They are the intelligent one, and never quit. These are all the qualities or the traits which are required to become a champion. Athletic performance is a complex trait that is influenced by both genetic and environmental factors. Many physical traits help determine an individual's athlete's ability. Primarily the strength of muscles used for movement and the predominant type of fibers that compose them. Skeletal muscles are made up of 2 types of muscles fiber, which are already discussed. That is slow twitch muscles fiber and the fast twitch fibers. Slow twitch muscles fiber contract slowly but can work for a long time without tiring. These fibers enable endurance activities like long distance running. Fast twitch muscles fibers contract quickly but tire rapidly. These fibers are good for sprinting and other activities that require power or strength. Other important traits include the maximum amount of oxygen the body can deliver to its tissues, that is the aerobic capacity, muscle mass, height, flexibility, coordination, intellectual ability, and personality. Along with that, Mr. Fulkar also discussed some of the qualities which are to be required, that is, which are things are to be required to develop an elite athlete. That is our nutrition, physiological factors are there, psychological factors there, physical factors there, nutrition, etc. He also said that you have to find out the talent first, then you have to motivate, give them the opportunity, give them the training. We have to manage the injuries, then technological use and the nutrition, so that we have to develop an elite athlete. The best studied genes associated with athlete performance are ACTN3 and ACE. These genes influence the fiber type that makes up muscles, and they have been linked to strength and endurance. He talked about the gene therapy. Gene therapy is an experimental technique that uses genes to treat or prevent disease. In the future, this technique may allow doctors to treat a disorder by inserting a gene into a patient's cell instead of using drugs or surgery. Artificial gene synthesis or gene synthesis refers to a group of methods that are used in synthetic biology to construct and assemble genes. There are certain risk factors are there. He told about the various potential genes that are EPO, IGFI, HIF1, PPARD, MSTN, ACTN2, EGFA, POMC, ACE, PCK1, etc. That definitely have the risk on our health. That are, it increase the blood viscosity, it increase the hypertension, headache, nausea, vomiting, pain in the joints and muscles, overgrowth of the cartilage in the nose and jaw, cardiomyopathy, insulin resistance and diabetes, overexpression of sex hormones, colon cancer, damage of the ligaments, tendons and bones, and so on. Gene or cell doping is defined by the World Anti-Doping Agency as the non-therapeutic use of genes, genetic elements, and or the cells that have the capacity to enhance athletic performance. New research in genetics and genomics will be used not only to diagnose and treat disease, but also to attempt to enhance human performance. In recent years, gene therapy has shown progress and positive results and have highlighted the potential misuse of this technology and the debate of gene doping. With progress in gene technology, many other genes with this potential will be discovered. For this reason, it is important to develop timely legal regulations and to research the field of gene doping in order to develop methods of detection to protect the health of athletes and to ensure equal competitive conditions. The International Olympic Committee WADA and International Sports Federation have accepted performance enhancing substances and methods as being doping and have forbidden them. It is feared that the use of gene transfer technology to enhance athletic performance and practice that has received the term gene doping may soon become a real threat to the world of sports, as recognized by the anti-doping community. Gene doping, like doping in any form, undermines principles of fair play in sports and most importantly involve major health risks to athletes who partake to gene doping. Since the realization of the threat of gene doping to sports in 2001, as he mentioned, that the anti-doping community and scientists from different disciplines concerned with potential misuse of gene therapy technologies for performance enhancement have focused extension effort on developing robust methods for gene doping detection, which could be used by the World Anti-Doping Agency to monitor athletes and would meet the requirement of a legally defensible test. With this, I must congratulate Dr. Ashish Pulkarji, thank you very much for your nice presentation. Again, I give my sincere thanks to my teacher, Dr. A.K. Uppal sir, Dr. Piyush Jain, Dr. Sudarshan Vishwas, who is the PEFI President of West Bengal. Thanks to all PEFI members. My sincere thanks to Bhupinder Singh ji, Amrita Pandey madam, Dr. Aruna Dogra madam, who is the moderator, Tarun ji, Saroj ji. Thanks to all technical members of today's webinar. Without your support, it was not possible to conduct this event. At last, but not the least, I must give my sincere thanks from my core of my heart to all the participants of this webinar. Please take care of yourself and your family in this pandemic situation due to COVID-19. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much. Over to organizer, please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your precise concluding remark. And now I invite on screen Shri Bhupendra Singh ji to propose vote of thanks. I would like to introduce him. He is member of PEFI National Executive Committee and General Secretary PEFI for Amateur Rope Skipping Federation, Uttar Pradesh, and also a true physical educationist. I request Bhupendra sir to present vote of thanks. Over to Bhupendra sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon. आज फिजिकल एजुकेशन फाउंडेशन ऑफ इंडिया के लाइव सेशन में उपस्थित डॉक्टर आशीष फुलकर जी का ज्ञान जो जीन पे था, मैं उनका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अदा करता हूं कि उन्होंने हमें जीन डोपिंग के ऊपर इतना अच्छा ज्ञान दिया। मैं डॉक्टर अमित बनर्जी का भी धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा जिन्होंने इस पूरे ज्ञान को हमारे समक्ष एक छोटे से सारांश में उपस्थित किया। थैंक यू डॉक्टर अमित सर। मैं डॉक्टर अरुणा डोगरा मैडम का भी धन्यवाद अदा करना चाहूंगा जिन्होंने इस पूरे प्रोग्राम को मॉडरेट किया। मैं ऑर्गेनाइजिंग सेक्रेटरी डॉक्टर शरद कुमार शर्मा जी का भी धन्यवाद दूंगा जिन्होंने इस प्रोग्राम को बहुत ही अच्छे और सरल तरीके से उपस्थित किया। मैं यहाँ पर उपस्थित सभी व्यूअर्स जो भी हमारे फिजिकल एजुकेशन फाउंडेशन ऑफ इंडिया के इस प्रोग्राम को लाइव देख रहे हैं, मैं उन सभी व्यूअर्स का बहुत बहुत दिल से धन्यवाद अदा करता हूं कि उन्होंने अपना अमूल्य समय जो इस कोरोना काल में सब किसी न किसी तरह से प्रताड़ित थे उसमें अपना अमूल्य समय दिया। मैं उन सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अदा करता हूं। मैं लास्ट में डॉक्टर पीयूष जैन जी जिन्होंने इतनी बड़ी संस्था फिजिकल एजुकेशन फाउंडेशन ऑफ इंडिया जो कि आज की डेट में भारत में एक क्या कहना चाहेंगे मतलब इतने चरम पर है कि आज उनकी इस मेहनत से हम सब फिजिकल एजुकेशन में यहाँ स्टैंड कर पाए। मैं उनका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अदा करता हूँ। और लास्ट में जिनके द्वारा ये सारे सेशन करे जा रहे हैं, करवाए जा रहे हैं सफलतापूर्वक, डॉक्टर तरुण शर्मा जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जिन्होंने इस प्रोग्राम को सफल करवाया। थैंक यू मैडम।
With this, on behalf of PEFI, I would also like to thank each and every person who is present over here. And with this remark, we end today's session over here. Looking forward to see you all in the next PEFI live sessions. Till then, goodbye. Do take very good care of yourself. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.